Okay. Okay.
Welcome to Brake Check.
Welcome to Brake Check.
What are we in today?
We are in a 2001 Z06.
Yes.
Corvette Z06.
Corvette Z06. What is so special about a 2001 Corvette Z06?
You have different suspension. It's actually height adjustable from the factory. So this particular one's lowered an 1.5 inches or 2 inches. I'll be completely frank with you. I think it's too low.
Yeah, we can't drive over anything.
No. Now,
In fact, I'm going to some railroad tracks right now, and I hope we make it.
Right.
We made it.
Yeah, we were terrified driving this everywhere because it's just so. It just scrapes. If you look at it wrong, it scrapes.
It doesn't make it fun because immediately what happens after a few minutes, you start thinking and planning everything through. Like if you're driving with a trailer, you think your turns through.
Yeah, exactly.
You're immediately thinking, you go to the gas station, how do I get out of here without scraping?
Right.
I have to only go this way, I can only go in this way.
Right.
It's that intrusive.
So it legitimately, if you were to drive it daily, it takes the fun out of it completely.
Yeah.
Now, if this is a weekend special car, which that's what this owner uses it for,
it wouldn't
it totally makes sense.
Yeah,
if you like the aesthetic, I'm fine with it.
Yeah.
But if you were going to drive this every day, you would have to bring it up at least an inch. I think an inch would do it. It wouldn't look bad and it would still handle well and everything else.
Right.
But back to this Z06 greatness.
Yes.
Has the LS6 V8, like you mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
Has a little more power. It has a M12 transmission, which is really a T56 with different gearing.
Okay.
It actually has a transaxle, which is a C5 thing, not a Z06 specific thing.
That means what? Explain that.
And that means the transmission is not mounted behind the engine.
Right.
It's mounted at the back.
And one of the reasons they do that, a lot of sports cars, high-end sports cars do this, reason being
weight balance.
Weight balance, right.
So this vehicle has 50-50 weight balance, just like a Miata, just like, well, not a 911. 911s are nowhere near that, but that's kind of the goal for a lot of cars.
Right. So also, there's some other things though. In the glass, and there's some...
Oh yeah, so for weight savings, they've actually shaved 8 pounds out of this by using thinner windshields and thinner rear windows as well.
Which makes it a little more noisy, but it only weighs how much?
3,100 pounds.
Which that is not much.
That is nothing.
Yeah.
3,100 pounds and 400 horsepower is a good place to be.
That's a good place
to be. That's a great place to be.
So the 0 to 60 time on this is...
In stock form is 4.3.
4.3 in 2001.
That's crazy.
For a car that cost...
48 grand, so just under 50.
But nowadays you can get one like this,
if you
close to this for...
If you hunt it down, you can do it for 15.
Close to 15.
Yeah.
That's really good performance.
It is.
Still.
Right. I've seen them as low as 13, but honestly, if you send 15 to 20, you're going to get a really good one, like this.
Right.
This is a pristine example. It has 30,000 miles. It's clearly been in the garage its entire life.
It's a nice one. It's a
It's
good example.
Great example. This hardtop configuration, which is the only way you can get a Z06.
Fixed rear coupe.
Fixed rear coupe means not hatched, not convertible.
Right.
It was originally conceived to make the entry price of the Vette lower, to get more market share. Well, and they actually configured it with cloth interior and all this kind of stuff, and they ended up not going that direction. Okay. But when the Z06 was thought up, they thought, what's the lightest and strongest version? This one.
But why is this a sports car, not a pony car?
So if you think back to way back, Greg, to when you were created, and myself, in the 80s.
Whoa.
Yeah. The Corvette came on the stage to start fighting with other sports cars in the world, namely the 911. Mm-hmm. Okay? So the 911 at the time was known for going butt first in the trees and killing and killing people on Wall Street, right? So the Vette came through and said, well, I want some of that too.
Okay.
So they had a little bit of oversteer scenario, but the C4 was the first one to really take on four-wheel independent suspension. Well, the previous Vettes had that too, but to really fine-tune it.
So this is an LS6.
LS6.
Which makes how much power?
385 and 385.
Pretty even.
Very even.
So that was the first year it came out in 2001. They got a little bit of a bump later, but it was basically the same thing.
Pretty much. It bumped up to just over 400 horsepower after that.
In fact, this particular car probably is close to that.
Right. So the owner of this car has put on a colder intake, a Borla axle back exhaust, and a short throw shifter. So from our research, he's around the 4 to 415 horse number.
So what makes a Vette special is it's an actual sports car.
Correct.
It's not just another platform modified to be fast.
Right. It's its own chassis.
It's its own thing.
Right.
And it's not designed to be just cruisers. It actually has, sports cars actually have some performance.
Absolutely.
Whether you want to track it, whether you just actually want that performance. But it's also not a GT.
No, it is not a GT. I will argue that.
Okay.
Although it does have good cargo capacity.
It does.
I'm impressed with that.
It could be. In fact, you could overland in this.
As we can prove it.
Yes.
You can. So, I do agree with you on that. The Vette is its own thing. It's its own chassis. It's its own deal.
All right.
Yeah.
So, okay, exterior. First off, we're going to pass some bikers.
Yep.
Should I scare them?
No.
Do I get points?
No.
Okay, we just drive by them.
Just drive by.
No big deal. Are they mad at me right now because I'm in a Vette?
But they're mad at everyone.
Oh, that's true.
I say this as a biker. I think it's funny. So whenever we get vehicles from owners, I like to interview them on a few questions. And say, why did you want this car? Why this over something else? Because that 15 grand in the used market, there's a lot of options, right? So beyond just performance, because the value metric for this is insane.
Yeah, it is.
For 15 grand, and the handling nature this thing has is incredible.
Right.
He said because when he was in high school, this was the car for him. This was his Halo car.
This was his car.
So,
yours was a Viper. His was this.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
mine was a Lotus Esprit.
Exactly.
Which is the right one. Thank you, James Bond.
Yeah, but it won't run, so that's the problem. Anyways, moral of the story is he got it because he always wanted it. And that's really cool. We love stories like that.
It's classic Vette.
Yep.
One of the things Vette's done, like 911 and Jeeps, is they've kept their classic shape.
They have.
Even with their mid-engine now, it's a Vette.
All they did was switch the driver and the engine.
Yeah, they just,
the C8.
It's still a Vette. Everybody knows it's a Vette. It's got the 4 tail lights, which are just so recognizable.
But it looks good.
What's your favorite feature of the exterior?
Of the exterior, my favorite feature is the functional brake ducts in front of the rear tire.
I like those. I do think they look like they're aftermarket, but them being functional makes me feel better.
But that's what's funny though, is that the grill, I actually asked the owner if the front grill inserts were aftermarket. He said, no, that's how it came.
Right, which makes me feel better.
Well, I realized right away that the aftermarket was copying this.
Yes.
In the mid-2000s, they were copying this.
I love the pop-up headlights.
Oh, yes.
Pop-up headlights, baby. More cars need pop-up headlights.
Yes, that is radwood cool.
Yes. I don't know what that means, but you tried to explain it earlier and I still don't understand it. I'll look it up later.
Sure.
Y'all can correct me too, but yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, I think it's really cool. More cars need that.
Need more cars. Bring those back. I guess it's a
it's a pedestrian issue, I know. And obviously, it's an aerodynamic nightmare at night. But
yeah, sure.
I'm willing to give it up. It's okay. I'm fine with that.
What do you like the least about the exterior?
Ooh,
or is there anything you don't like?
I don't think it looks bad from any angle, to be honest with you. There's no one part that I go, ooh, that's hideous. What about you?
There's one part.
I think it's too low.
Overall, I like the look of Vettes.
Me too.
I like the C4 nons are great. The C2 is great. I don't like the C1 and the C3. Y'all can beat me up and kill me in the comments for that one, but
I can see why though.
That's where I'm at.
I get that.
I like this one because it feels like you're low slung and you can see the fender wells when you're actually driving it. It makes you really feel like you're in a sports car.
Jesus Christ!
See, I mean, what are you supposed to do with that?
It just doesn't matter. Let's talk interior.
Interior, yes.
What's your favorite part?
Favorite part? I love I say this in probably every car, but I like the gauge cluster.
Oh, sure.
Overall, the whole package. I love the whole package of the gauge cluster. I love that the dials are easy to read. I love how thin the needles are. They feel really precise because of that, which is funny in a GM car to say something really precise. But I like that. I love that the speedo is in 10-mile-per-hour increments up to 100, and then it goes to 20. So I guess when you're going over 100, it doesn't matter. And by the way, this will
do well over that.
It'll do well over that.
So I'm going to agree with you on that because these are not just gauges to me. These are dials. These are instruments.
Yeah.
So the precision of the needle is like Audi good. Right. And I really like that a lot. They're clear. I'm sorry.
Audi good. Has anyone ever said Vette and Audi good?
Well, just now, yeah.
Okay, another exclusive on Brake Check.
Now, I will say that the newer Vettes have a hybrid of a digital cluster, and the new one has a full digital cluster.
I don't like digital clusters.
This is way better. I'm sorry, digital clusters they're like navigation. They're going to get dated eventually.
Digital clusters got to go. Quit doing that.
I need to look at it and read it and see a window of A to B where it's at.
You know what's still classic? A watch with a dial. Thank you. Just saying.
Yep.
Okay.
All right.
What's the bad part about the interior?
I don't want to say everything. Well, before we get to that, my second favorite part is the key in the dash.
I do love a key in the dash.
Okay, so when this came out, I remember reading in Motor Trend and Car and Driver and all that. This was a big deal. Like, this was a mechanical challenge to engineer that, to not have it on the column itself.
It was a mechanical challenge, even though in the 50s and 60s they were all like that?
Because they had no column locks in the 50s and 60s.
Okay.
That's why. So I think it's super cool.
Okay.
I love that.
Yeah, I love it too.
Okay, so what do we not like about the Vette interior?
It creaks.
It does creak.
It creaks a lot.
So what is the Vette, let's back that up. What is the Vette interior known for?
Not being that great.
Not being very great. So I'm going to be the one, I'm just going to go out there and say it. It's not that great, but
it's not as bad as people say,
It gets a bad rap for no reason.
It's not that bad.
Because you can't drive this and think 2020. In 2001,
no, it's 2001.
This was on par with everything else domestic.
Everything domestic for sure.
For sure.
Yeah.
Now, was it German good? Nowhere near.
Or Japanese.
But neither was any Mustang at the time.
No. But I guess that's the argument, is that they're trying to make it a world sports car to compete with everything.
And that's why, I guess that's a good point. So when you bring up the 911s and the Acura NSX and things like that, this wasn't going to hang with it.
Fair point. But now today we're comparing it. It's a $15,000 car.
I have no problem with the interior.
other cars it goes up against in that range, it's not the worst.
Yeah, it's a good point.
Well, or maybe it is, but it's not that bad.
Back to the value proposition. When you buy this car for performance, all is forgiven.
Yes.
In terms of the interior.
When you mash the right pedal,
you just don't care anymore.
The other stuff doesn't matter.
You know what's something special about this car? This is our first LS.
Yes.
And our first GM we reviewed on Brake Check.
Is this the first GM?
It's the first GM.
It is.
Yeah.
Well, this is a good one. We switched. It's time for Dynamics.
Let's do it.
Hit it.
Whoa. And we're going to jail.
This is what you call arrest me red.
Yes.
And that would be the arrest me part.
That's the arrest me part.
So, it's fast.
Yes, absolutely.
It's real fast.
That's very fast.
Okay.
Keep in mind, 2001.
2001 technology.
Absolutely.
Still pretty fast.
Absolutely, yeah.
Wow. Okay, Dynamics.
Dynamics.
What do you think?
I want to hit on something really quick.
Yes.
Technology.
Yes.
Okay, so stability control and traction control is not something we think of anymore, because every car has it, mandated.
Yeah.
This was the first configurable and designed to help the driver on track.
Yes, I remember that. Yeah.
I remember reading all about that in Motor Trend.
If you're wrong, though, people will let us know.
Yeah, we're the idiots of Brake Check, so let us know. But it does allow you to configure on and off, and it's designed to not stop you. Like most traction controls, they get wheel slip and they shut you down.
Right.
This one's designed to support what you're doing based on yaw control with the steering inputs and G meters and things like that, and wheel slip. So this is the first of its kind.
Okay.
Dynamically, the clutch pedal is appropriate. It's lighter than some. I like the transmission a lot.
It's easy to drive.
It's easy to drive.
It really is. So I'll say this, over some pony cars I've driven.
Sure.
This is easier to drive than some of those pony cars.
I think the clutch engagement is definitely easier.
I like it better in that aspect.
Me too.
I don't like that it does remind me a lot of those, but that's just an American car.
It is an American car of this time.
But this is, so dynamically though, it was designed for
this is not a drag
performance.
It is, so it's not just a drag car. Whereas
right, it's not a 0 to 60 quarter-mile car.
And it will do that happily, but that's not its strong point. It's not a one-trick pony. Yep. So your Trans Am and your Camaro SSs are probably a better platform because they are solid axle. Right. They're easier to modify. Right. There's less tech involved, and it's just a straight line.
So this is for the track / windy road.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Completely agree.
And it's good at that.
It is. So the L06 engine has a torque curve that is like this.
Yes.
Which I'm very happy with.
Yeah.
The horsepower is great. Now it's not Ford Coyote linear power. It's not like that at all. There's no VTEC feeling. There's no coming on cam. It's very linear, both horsepower and torque, but I don't think it's bad.
Right.
It feels lazier, but it feels no slower.
Right.
In fact, it just gets the job done really well.
Right.
I think the suspension, beyond it being low, I think it's reasonable. It doesn't ride that bad.
No, I mean, it rides fine as long as you're not bottoming out.
Right, as long as you're not scraping. Yeah. The actual suspension calibration is pretty good.
Right.
I'm happy with that. But Dynamics of intended purpose, for 15 grand, it's really hard to find anything better.
This is hard to beat.
You hear that?
I love the burble.
Good exhaust. I love
the burble.
Hey, while we're talking Dynamics, before we get off Dynamics, this is the right amount of exhaust. It doesn't drone.
It's the perfect amount of exhaust.
And when you get on it, it sounds great.
America!
And then when you put it in overdrive, just fine.
Why? It doesn't beat you up.
Good call on the exhaust.
Yes, very good call on the exhaust.
Yep.
All right, hipster score. Ready? 3, 2, 1. 3.
What?
What, you gave it a 1?
Yeah.
Man, maybe I'm just feeling really good for hipsters today.
I think you are.
Because I gave another car something higher. Y'all can check that out too later. But
okay, why'd you give it a 3?
I gave it a 3 because I had to think of the Jaguar F-Pace we recently drove.
F-Type.
F-Type.
I'm just keeping the commenters from correcting us.
Thank you. Well, they will. F-Type. So we give that I think I gave that a 4 and you gave it a 6.
Correct.
Which you're way wrong if you're giving this one a 1. You don't have any logic, okay?
Right.
So I nailed that one because it was British, so it got 4 points.
Fair enough.
This is basically the same thing. Well, not the same thing. I shouldn't say that. There's a lot of similarities in this car and that car. They're both red, and I'm factoring the red into this, so that's a big factor. Okay. It loses some points because there's nothing Apple related in this.
There's no Apple? There's no
So you're losing a lot of points,
right.
otherwise it would be higher. And again, to remind our viewers, a Raptor is a 0.
Correct.
A Prius is a 10.
Correct. And that goes for any Raptor, any Prius.
So if you're a truck, it doesn't help. If you're loud and noisy, it doesn't help. And so this isn't too loud and too noisy. It is a car that helps. It is pop-up headlights are going to get it at least 2 points on its own for the pop-up headlights, which is why it gets a 3 in my book.
Can I change my score?
Sure.
Well, let me get my points. And we'll
okay, go ahead. Tell me why you gave it a 1.
I gave it a 1 because, well, and for reference, I gave the Jag a 6. I gave the Mustang a 4.
Yeah, you're wrong on both those.
I gave the Mustang a 4 because of the retroness. Right? Because
how's this not retro? Isn't this just as retro?
This looks nothing like a C1.
But but the Vet started all that sports car business in America.
It did, you're right, but hipsters don't care.
But the nameplate gets it something.
I don't know. I just don't feel it that way.
Okay.
I feel like the Mustang has a retro thing going better. The Vet is a retro thing, I get that.
Okay.
But it's too expensive, right? So the Mustang was a car that brought the power to the people.
Okay.
This has never been intended to be for the high school kid. High school kids, they'll never afford it.
Okay, but I'm grading this car based on this time today. In 2001, it would not have gotten a 3.
And I totally agree. This car is not old enough to get retro points.
Okay.
That's why. If this were an 84 in clean condition, it would get like a 3.
Fair point.
Like automatically.
I would have given it more points, but too many
Oh,
no offense.
boy.
Too many old white men drive this car.
Okay, well,
but here's another reason it gets a 3. You ready?
I'm ready.
Because this car is going to bring America together.
Oh, okay. Let's hear it.
This car, right now we're in a divided country, Brian.
Absolutely.
We got people on both sides that hate each other, and they can't agree on anything.
They might be neighbors and they still hate each other.
They still hate COVID, Corona, Republican, Democrat, all these police, blue lives, black lives. Everybody hates each other, okay? Basically, everybody hates each other. This car, though, the old white dude with a MAGA hat, not going to have any problem driving this, and he's welcome in this car.
That's true.
And he should enjoy it, and good job.
All right, so how does this help the other side of the spectrum?
Because cool Joe Biden could also drive this car because it's American, red, white, and blue, and he would be just fine and welcome in this car too.
But he doesn't have a hat. What is he
bringing both parties together. So
is he wearing aviators?
He's definitely wearing aviators.
It works.
So it works. Okay. This car is bringing the country together.
I can
Vet
see it.
2020. Am I right?
It's got my vote. That's for sure.
Okay, me too.
Okay, so who's it for? Go ahead and say it. Who's it for?
For old white dudes.
Okay. All right.
Now, the Vet is. I don't know about the Z06.
Okay, I'm glad you brought that up. So I'm going to argue because there's a stereotype of Corvettes: old white guys, old white guys, old white guys, old white guys. Right? Yellow, convertible, automatic, old white guy. Every time.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
I'm going to argue the Z06, what you just said, is not exactly that case.
I agree.
This is manual. It's performance focused, and the margin on it is great.
Yeah.
The performance value is just there.
Yeah.
And I'm tired.
And it's reliable.
It's incredibly reliable. It's a great package for that. Yeah. I'm tired of people saying you have to be an old white guy to drive this, and I say that because I'm 30 years old and I want to drive that damn thing myself.
Look, so we're both getting close to this point, but yeah, I really want this car.
Yeah.
Without being accused of having a midlife crisis.
Exactly.
Because you don't have to have a midlife crisis to get the Z06.
No.
Look, if I was going to get an automatic convertible Vet, then you can tell me I'm having a midlife crisis.
Fair enough.
But if I'm getting a Z06 that you can only get with a manual, I don't know if we mentioned that.
Correct.
You can only get with the manual. You're not buying this because you're having a midlife crisis. You're buying this because you
want to drive.
Understand the performance and dynamics of this car, and it's good.
It's very good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there you have it. Not all Vets are for old men.
Not all Vets are for old men.
All right. That's it. Thanks for watching. Let us know what you cross-shop this with. If you've got 15 grand on the used sports car market, what's on your mind? What are you looking at?
Right.
If you have a Z06, let us know what your ownership experience is.
Yeah.
If you're new to the channel, don't forget to like, subscribe, or dislike. We're okay with that too.
Right.
Hit the bell thing or whatever else.
So we solved the 2020 election.
Yes, thank God that's done.
Yeah. So I think it's good.
On the next episode, we hit healthcare.
And what was your thing you always try to bring up?
Oh yeah. Let us know if we're terrible or bearable, which is kind of the like or dislike.
Terrible.
It's brilliant. I know it rhymes.
It's ridiculous.
It's always on time.
No, it doesn't.
It's perfect.
Work. You just solved the election, and then you're. Oh my gosh! Can't even shift now.
Thanks for watching.